Hello everyone, I hope you're all doing well. Today, the subject of my lecture is the use of someone, somebody, something, anyone, anybody, anything, no one, nobody, nothing, and much more. As you can see it on the slide or on the screen here, that compounds with some, any, and no follow the above rules which we discussed in the yesterday's lecture, right? We are referring to that we are referring to that lecture and those uses, those rules which we discussed in the yesterday's lecture. First, let's have a look at some examples over here. Someone wants to speak, so someone wants to speak to you on the phone. So this is actually true. Someone wants to speak to you on the phone. Someone or somebody gave me a ticket at the pop concert. Third one is no one, nobody has ever given me a free ticket for anything. Do you want anything from the chemist? Would anyone or anybody like a drink? So these are some uses, or you can say examples of someone, somebody, something, etc. We will explain them in detail in the next slides. Note also, I drink anything. What does I drink anything mean? It mean I don't mind what I drink, right? When you say I drink anything, it does mean you are open to drinking anything. You are not very specific, you are not very choosy, right? You do not limit yourself to some specific drinking, right? Or specific drink. You mean that you don't mind whatever you drink or what you drink. Next is anyone will tell you where the house is. So here anyone does mean anyone, not any specific person. Next, in the next slides, let's have a look at someone, somebody, etc. So we can see that these someone, somebody, blah blah blah, they can be possessive, right? They can be used with apostrophe and s as well. For example, here someone's passport has been stolen. So you are using apostrophe and s over here with them. So they can be used as possessive, right? Is this somebody's or anybody's seat? You, somebody's mean uh, something which belong to somebody, right? Somebody's passport does mean the passport of somebody. So instead of writing the passport of someone or somebody, you can simply write someone's passport, right? So anybody's seat, etc. Pronouns and possessive adjective with someone, somebody, anyone, anybody, no one, nobody, everyone, everybody, etc. So you can how do you use pronouns and possessive adjective with these terms? These expressions have a singular meaning and take a singular verb. So personal pronouns and possessive adjectives should logically be he, she, him, her, his, her, etc. However, in colloquial English, plural forms are more common. So whenever you want to use pronouns and possessive adjectives with these things, right, you will use a singular pronoun or a singular possessive adjective, but you can of course use plural only in colloquial English, right? Only in conversational English, in informal English. You cannot use plural pronouns and plural adjectives in formal, in standard English, right? For example, over here, has anyone left their luggage? So you do not normally use their for anyone, right? You will use his or her, him or her, eh, mm, he or she, etc. But here you use their for anyone because this is colloquial English. This is not formal, standard, and this is not very formal, standard, and usual English, right? So this is only used in some colloquial way, not in very formal way. In very formal way, you will always go for singular meaning and singular verb and singular personal pronoun, or you can say singular possessive adjectives. No one saw Tom go out, did they? Right? So here you are using again they for no one, right? But this is not formal English, this is colloquial, this is informal, etc. But with something, anything, nothing, we will use it. But when you use these things, for example, something, anything, etc., You will use it for these things. Something went wrong, didn't it? So this it refers to something. So you are using it for something. Else placed after someone, anybody, nothing, etc. So these someone, somebody, etc. Blah blah blah, and the adverb somewhere, anywhere, etc. They can be followed by else. All right. So firstly, we only discuss someone, etc. But here we are going to use else after these things as well. Someone, for example, here, someone else or somebody else does mean some other person. All right. Anyone else and anybody else, it does mean any other person. Same is the case with no one else, everyone else, something else, etc. So these are the meaning for these things. Something else does mean some other thing, and so on and so forth. I'm afraid I cannot help you. You will have to ask someone else. All right. So this is the use of someone else over here. Someone else does mean some other person. There isn't anyone else. There is no one else to ask. So again, anyone else is used. Anyone else does mean any other person, etc. Next slide. In the next slide, we will see else used with adverbs. So how can we use else with adverbs? Somewhere else is an adverb, right? Adverb of place, you can say. And anywhere else and nowhere else, these are adverbs, and you are using else with these adverbs. So you can use them like this. And somewhere else does mean in, at, to some other place, and so on and so forth. Are you going anywhere else? All right, so here you use adverb of time, sorry, adverb of place, and you can use else as well. So these things, these someone, something, anybody, etc., plus else can be possessive. All right. These, of course, we saw them, someone and somebody, etc., possessive in the first two slides. But if you use else after them, they can still be possessive as well. For example, I took someone else's coat. All right. Was anyone else's luggage opened? No one else's luggage was open, right? You use apostrophe after else. All right, you do not use apostrophe after anyone here. If you are using anyone, someone, etc., with else. All right, if you are going to use else with them, so you will put apostrophe over here for making it possessive. Here in the next slide, let's have a look at another, others with one and some. Another, other, and others. So if you, they can be adjectives and they can be pronoun as well. So adjectives are in this shape, another and other, right? And pronoun have this shape, another and others. And if you use adjective, another, in singular, it is simply another. And if you use it as a pronoun, it will be same as another, right? But the use matter. All right, use differentiate between their class. So plural form of other is, in adjective case it is same as other, but in pronoun case it is others. Have you met Bill's sister? I have met one. I didn't know he had another, right? Here, this another is pronoun. Oh, he has two others. Two other sister. Two others does mean two other sisters. All right. So it can be used when you use other as a pronoun, it will become, right, it can be it can be plural, but in, if you want to, so simply you can say that another is, another, singular form of another in adjective and pronoun case is the same, whereas plural form of other in adjective case is other, but it can, in pronoun case it can be others as well if it is plural. In adjective case it cannot be others, but in pronoun case it can be others. One, another, other, some, others, etc. Let's have a look at the use of this thing. One student suggested a play, another student, or you can say other students, or you can say others wanted a concert, right? When you are using another student, so here another is, uh, Adjective, why? Because it narrows down it narrows down the scope of a noun, right? It tells us something about noun. It qualifies a noun. So anything which qualifies a noun or pronoun is always an adjective, right? Anything which tells us anything about noun or pronoun is always an adjective. So here another student, so another does mean another tells us something about student, which is a noun. So it does mean here another is adjective. Again, here other students, here other is adjective. Why? Because it tells us about students. So others wanted a concept. Here others is pronoun. Why? Because here others do not tell us about any noun or pronoun. So it is just used instead of a noun. So here it is pronoun, and you can see the plural form of pronoun over here as well. Some tourists Some of the tourists went on the beach, others explored the town. So some tourists, so here others is also a pronoun. One another and each other. Tom and Anne looked at each other. What does this mean when you say each other? It does mean Tom looked at Anne and Anne looked at Tom. It does mean you exchange the things. Each other. So when you say Tom and Anne looked at each other, it does mean they both looked at each other. So both one another and each other can be used of two or more, but each other is frequently preferred when there are more than two. All right. So when you are using each other, does mean it can be preferred when there are more than two things, objects, etc. But when there are two things, two or more, both one another and each other can be used, right? For two or more, but when the thing, when the limit of two when you go beyond two or when you go for three or more than three objects, etc., you usually normally each other is preferred, not one another. In the next slide, let's have a look at interrogatives or wh words and how as well. Here, interrogatives can be these interrogative WH words can be adjectives and they can be noun pronouns as well. So always keep one thing in mind: any word can only be adjective if it tells us anything about noun or pronoun, or it qualifies a noun or pronoun, or it narrows down, or it specifies, or it adds. All right, S- it adds noun or pronoun. So adjective has nothing no other use, right? So whereas pronouns are used instead of nouns. When you do not use a noun and you replace that and you fill that position with another word, and that word will always be pronoun. So for persons, subject, uh, you can use for person, you can use who, and who will be pronoun and it can be used as subject. And for object, sorry, who can be used as subject for person, right? And whom can be used as object, and who can also be used as object and it will be pronoun. And it can be used as possessive, whose, pronoun, and adjective, right? So when you use who can be who 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 as a subject will be pronoun, and whom and who as an object will be pronoun, and whose where- can be possessed whose, which is a possessive form of who, can be pronoun and adjective. And for things, you can use what, and what can be a pronoun and what can be an adjective. So it can be used as subject and it can be used as object. For person or things, when the choice is restricted, when you restrict the choice, you use which, and which can be pronoun and which can be adjective, and it can be used as subject and object as well. The same form is used for singular and plural. What can also be used for persons as well. Affirmative verb after who, whose, etc., use as subject. So after these who's, who, etc., you use affirmative verbs, and they can be and they can be used as subjects, right? When you use who, whose, what, when, etc., what, which, etc., when you use them as subjects, they are normally followed by an affirmative, not an interrogative verb. All right. When you use them as subject, they will be normally followed by an affirmative verb. Affirmative is a positive verb. It does not negate something. It does not uh, put a specific question with the help of helping verb. For example, here, who pays the bill? This pays is affirmative verb, right? You are not using is, am, are, has, have, was, were, do, does, did, etc. This is normal affirmative verb. It affirms something. Who pays the bill? Here, who is the subject in a sentence? All right, who is the subject of the verb here? And why? Because this pays is affirmative verb. Here, whose which horse won? So again, this won is affirmative verb. So you are using whose and which as subject here. What happened? What went wrong? Happened, went. These are also affirmative verb. All right. But with who, whose, etc., plus be plus noun or personal or distributive pronoun, an interrogative verb is used. All right, when you can also use an interrogative verb with them as well. With um, you can say who plus be. Be is the basic form of is, mr. Be is, mr is the basic form. Was, were is second form. Has been, etc. These are the they are third form, right? So here is, mr is used, first form is used. So they can also be used with them as well. Who are you? Who is the? Whose is this? What is that? Nice, etc. etc. With who, whose, etc., use as subjects of a verb or preposition, an interrogative verb is of course necessary. So when you use them as objects, who, whose, etc., when you use them as objects of a verb or preposition, an interrogative verb is of course necessary. When you use them object of a verb or preposition, of course you will use an interrogative verb. Let's have a look at examples of the use of who, whom, whose, which, and what. Who, whom, whose. First of all, who is subject? Who keeps the key? Affirmative verb, right? Who took my gun? Again, this took is affirmative verb. Who are these boys? This is interrogative verb. It can also be subject when you use interrogative verb. Who, whom as objects of a verb. Here it was subject and normal. If you use them as objects of a verb in normal English, you say, who did you see? But in very, very formal English, you say, whom did the committee appoint? You normally start a very formal sentence with whom, not with who. All right. Who did you see and whom did the committee appoint? So this is very formal and this is normal English. Who's a subject? Whose car broke down? Affirmative verb. You are using this book is affirmative verb. Whose books are these? This are is interrogative verb. So you can use it as subject with interrogative verb and as with affirmative verb as well. So next, whose as object of a verb. Here it was subject, here it was object of a verb. Whose umbrella did you borrow? Right? This borrow what? Whose umbrella? So here whose is an object of a verb. Which as subject, it can be used as subject. Which pigeon arrived first? This arrived with affirmative verb, so this which is the subject of the verb. Which of them is the eldest? Again, this which of them is the eldest? So again, you are asking a question, and this which is subject here. Which as object of a verb? Which hand do you use? Which of these dates would you prefer? Right. So this is an object here. Which of these dates would you prefer? And which hand do you use? All right. So direct object is the thing which receive a direct action. All right. So this is why this which is object here. What is subject and what is object of a word? What cause explosion? This is subject here. And what paper do you read? So here, what is an object? I hope you understood a few points regarding these technical terms. If you still have any question, please do ask me in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching.